Amazing grace, how sweet the sound, oh, that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, oh, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see.
Welcome to Built on Faith Homestead, or Leaving Egypt, depending on which video platform you're watching this on. Please excuse the wind. It is very windy again today. Another side effect of these big warm fronts coming through. But my name is Justin. I live with my wife Melissa. We got a little tiny house. We got 3 kids. We do the best we can to serve the Lord and try to live a self-sustainable life. Admittedly, we got a lot of work to do in both avenues. Today we are out with the old trusty 1952 Harry Ferguson tractor. Got the trailer hooked up to it. Got our fuel and all that stuff. We are going to cut some firewood today and share a thought with you that my wife shared with me. I'm stealing it from her. Some of my videos have gotten some copyright claims. Not trying to steal anybody's information or anything like that. You know, sometimes showing a video clip or something, even though you dice it up and you're just talking about that video clip and not using it, just by itself, sometimes they still hit you with a copyright claim. But I am flat stealing this from my wife. She knows about it. I got permission. It's all good. So here's the thought that I am stealing from my wife. You can see this pond back here behind me. It's going to be pushing 70 degrees outside today, and it has still got ice on it from the cold weather we have had. The reason why it is froze up is because it's stagnant water, right? And so it freezes up pretty hard and pretty solid in them cold temperatures. And my wife was watching a video of some people on their homestead that was getting water out of their creek because the water was flowing, and they were able to get water to water their animals because the water was flowing. She said, you know, Justin, that really applies to our Christian life if you think about it. If we are stagnant, we will freeze up. But if we stay moving towards the things of God and what it is God would have us to do, then we stay thawed out, right? We can still do things. And as I've thought about that this week, I had a few more thoughts that I would add to her thought, right? Not only will you not freeze up nearly as easily, but from what I understand, if you're in a survival situation, really you don't want to drink this water if you can keep from it. What you want to find is running water, because a lot of times it is cleaner, less bacteria, and those kinds of things. Also, this water right here really has no power. It's not really doing anything. It's just sitting here waiting to be drunk by some cows, right? However, moving water cuts mountains. Moving water has power behind it. Moving water, just a little bit of moving water, can take a vehicle and sweep it right off the road. If we as children of God will continue to move towards the things that God would have us to do, whatever that may be for you and I, right? Everybody's different. Noah had to build a boat. Moses had to lead the people out of Egypt. Abraham had to leave the land of his fathers. Everybody's got different callings on their life. But if we will move to that calling that God has got us in, and stay moving and not get stagnant, we will have power, and we will not freeze up like this pond, and we will be a life-giving force, letting that life come out of us that is Jesus Christ. So there's the thought that I stole from her. And also we're going to talk about how this applies to homesteading, although you can probably already begin to put the dots together. Here we are on a good old Missouri hill, trying to cut up some firewood, split up some firewood. How does this moving water thing apply to homesteading? Because that's what she asked me when I told her this is going to be the centerpiece of today's video. Man, that went into something else, isn't it? Anyhow, sometimes when it comes to homesteading, you have days where you just gotta keep moving. Now, I ain't preaching against taking a break and taking a day off and those kinds of things. Those are all needed things from time to time. But what I am talking about is this. Today, it's kind of one of those days where, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't really want to do anything. You ever have them days? Just every once in a while, right? Just have one of those days where it's like, man, I just don't feel like doing anything today, right? So here's the deal. Little Bo is cutting teeth, and he doesn't do it very well. He is hurting and getting up in the night, and my wife gets up with him. I I can't complain about that, right? But we do live in a tiny house, and so kind of wakes everybody up when he gets to squalling like he is with him cutting teeth. And so you're running on not as much sleep maybe as what you're used to having, so you get wore out, you get tired. I don't know about y'all, but for some reason these warm fronts, man, they make my joints hurt and all that kind of stuff, right? And so you got that going against you a little bit, and you're tired, and then you go to milk this morning like I did, and for the first time since we got the milk cow, she kicked the milk bucket over on me. Not on purpose, I don't think she was trying to knock it over or anything like that. Whenever I'm milking her, remember we've just got her hooked up to a halter and a pole in the barn, so she can kind of walk a half circle around if she wants to. We dump her some feed, we start milking. Usually she doesn't hardly move at all. The only time she really does is if she decides she needs to go to the bathroom while I'm milking. She will sidestep and get away from me to go to the bathroom, which I actually appreciate. I've kind of learned to know what to look for now, right? You might get a tail swat in the face, and then she will take a sidestep and get out of there. Well, I could tell she was fidgety, she was wanting to move. I thought she probably had to pee, and I was watching the hoof that was closest to me. By the way she was balanced, I was thinking, well, she's gonna move this hoof first. And she didn't. She moved the other one and hit the milk bucket and knocked it over. And so we did not get as much milk this morning as we usually do. I was able to get it picked back up. She didn't knock nothing into it. She just kind of tipped it over there. And so after that was done, right, it's just kind of one of those days where things just start off not going your way. You know what I mean? And you're kind of like, I'm just gonna go back to bed and try this again tomorrow. It's kind of one of them days, right? But if we just keep moving, see, I have to cut some firewood. Like, I really need to cut some firewood, some good dry firewood for us to burn, because while it's 70-ish degrees today, we still got a lot of winter left, and I want to make sure we got plenty of firewood. And I need to get to cutting some green trees that my father-in-law wants me to remove. For those of you that don't know, we are blessed enough to live on some family land right now until we can get some land of our own. Very thankful for that. But I have some, he has some trees he would like for me to cut down, and I'm very thankful to do it because it will provide firewood for next winter, right? And so we got to get to work on some of this stuff. And on days like today, when you just don't feel like doing it, you may not get as much done as you typically would when you feel really good and things are going smooth. You may not get as much done on a day like today where things are just falling apart. However, every little bit helps, right? Every stick of firewood you split is that much more heat. Every limb you cut is that much more heat. It's that much more that you get done rather than sitting around going, I just can't do nothing today, right? And don't get me wrong, we all need to take a break every once in a while. We all need a day every once in a while where we don't really do much anything, right? You relax, whatever relaxing looks like for you, right? But every once in a while, you just gotta dig in deep and keep moving. Just keep working at it. As I split this firewood, I think a lot about the people of old, the people that were alive a long time before I was, and how hard they had to work. We got it pretty easy. Even with this, to a lot of people, this would be pretty foreign work to them to use a chainsaw and cut firewood, to split firewood with a splitting maul. But you think about it. I talked to an individual one time. He told me he thought his family, when he was growing up, had really made it whenever him and his brother got a two-man saw to cut firewood with. Now, I don't know about you, but I ain't never used no two-man saw. And we got these big old splitting mauls to swing. Or if you got the money, you can buy a log splitter if you want to spend the money on one and use the gas and those kinds of things. You can buy a log splitter and do it with just a pull of a lever. And many people today think that firewood's the hard way to heat, and I guess sometimes maybe it is, but at the same token, we actually got it pretty easy. There's no doubt about that. And then I think about how much they used wood, how they used it to cook with, how they used it to heat their water with, how they used it to heat their homes with. It wasn't just a wintertime thing. It was an all year round thing. They needed wood. And then they didn't have chainsaws. They didn't have hydraulic log splitters. They didn't have all of that stuff to help them. It was a lot harder on them. So whenever I get to wanting to complain, like we all do from time to time, I remember how easy we actually have it. And I think to myself, Justin, you big old baby, what in the world are you whining about? Well, here's what we were able to get cut today. It's not a ton. Not a ton at all, but it's something. Still had room on the trailer, but we'll show you part of the reason why we quit. If you're wondering, it's a 10-foot long trailer and it's 5 foot wide. So kind of get an idea how much wood's there. But we had to limp the old tractor back. Tire has give out on me for the day, flat tire. So it's time to limp it back for sure. But we were able to get some cut. Now, it's not a lot of wood, but it's something. And between the day that we've had today, flat tires and all the craziness, the crazy wind, I had to get a new chain for my chainsaw, and I left it at the house, and so I had to come back to the house and get the chain, and it is just it's been that way from the beginning of the day. But as the theme of the video is, just keep moving and just keep pressing on and trying to do what you need to do. And we were able to get at least a little bit of firewood cut, which is more firewood than we had this morning when I woke up. And sometimes that's just how you have to look at things, or maybe that's just how I have to look at them, so that I don't go even crazier than most of you guys already think that I am. Guys, remember, whether it be homesteading type stuff, whether it be work type stuff, whether it be a new thing you're trying to learn, or whether it just be life in general, and especially with your walk with the Lord, just don't become stagnant. Just keep pressing on. Sometimes, just like a river is, right? Sometimes the rivers run full and fast. Sometimes they run pretty empty, pretty slow. Just stay moving and it'll be a good thing for you. We appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget, if you're not saved and born again, I don't care how much firewood you've cut in your life, it won't really matter whenever you stand before God. So I hope that you have known. I hope you do know the Lord. I hope the Lord knows you. Appreciate you guys watching. I won't do this as good as Leah did, but we'll catch you on the next video.